Hi, my name is John Laney, and I've been teaching relationship and emotional intelligence courses for years. And today I'm excited to talk to you about the relationship intelligence of how to turn conflict into connection. We were never taught any relationship skills in school. So now you can learn some of the best when it comes to conflict in just the next few minutes. Most of us deal with conflict in ways that cause damage, obviously. So we attack, we try and dominate, we try and out yell and out argue our mate. We withdraw or give the silent treatment. We shut them out. Or we insult, we nag, we bitch, we harass just to keep picking at them because we don't agree. And obviously, we often feel bad and hurt and very unloved. And notice that we all tend to revert to 6-year-olds emotionally during conflict. It's a very important thing to understand. Conflict is going to happen. It happens in healthy relationships. People have different values and ways of seeing the world and different things that are important to them at different times. So first, conflict is okay. It's going to happen. It's not bad. The next thing to understand, which is also fairly obvious, but we don't look at it this way, is that conflict often causes crappy conduct. Just review what we talked about: insulting, nagging, yelling, slamming doors, shutting people out. So consider this. What is your crappy conduct during conflict? And what is your mate's crappy conduct during conflict? So just pause the video for 30 seconds or so and think, what is your crappy conduct? Come on, fess up to it, admit it, you've got it. And what is your mate's or your friend's crappy conduct that really bothers you? Okay, so now you're ready for this big, important question about conflict. How long does your crappy conduct last during a fight? How long does your mate's crappy conduct last? For most of us, it's really just a few minutes of yelling, screaming, ranting, slamming doors, shutting people out. I hate you. I don't ever want to talk to you again. Those things only happen usually for a few minutes, and maybe you might go longer, but not that much where there's actual real damaging things happening. And then after the eruption, we start reverting back to being adults, don't we? It might take 5 minutes, it might take an hour, but we start to cool off, right? We all start to cool off from the big eruptions of conflict. But really, the big eruptions only last a few minutes. That's important to understand, because that allows you to do something different with conflict. First, you can learn to de-escalate conflict, right? You can learn to actually make it less damaging. You can actually learn to make it not so difficult. You're going to get lots of practice with conflict in your life, so start practicing de-escalating conflict. So when anger starts to erupt in your mate or in yourself, step back, not forward. So one of the first things you can do to de-escalate an erupting conflict is to step back, not push forward even an inch or two into the person's face. The next thing you can do is breathe. Just take a few breaths. Notice the anger arising, but breathe into it. Without opening your mouth, take a few breaths. This is going to take some practice, like I said, because breath isn't the first thing you think of when there's conflict. You want to attack or you want to withdraw. The next thing that you can do, or in addition, is lower your tone of voice. Speak more softly, whatever it is that you feel the need to say. And when you lower your tone of voice, it gives your mate pause and they may follow suit and lower their tone of voice. You have to try this a few times, but it's very powerful and it works. And another thing you can do, obviously, is just leave the room and take a break. You can say something like, look, I'm getting really upset. I don't want to say things that I'm going to regret. So I'm going to leave and we can talk about this in a few minutes. And then just take a break. It's okay. That will de-escalate the conflict. Keep it from erupting into a major blowout. You can just leave the room and take some breaths and calm down a bit, right? Here's something that you need to understand about conflict. After it's over, after the eruption, after the crappy conduct that only lasted a few minutes or so, there's a Cold War. You're both waiting for the other to apologize. You are replaying the fight in your head. I should have said this. They shouldn't have said that. How could they say that to me? This is just awful. So you are creating more damage in your emotions the longer the Cold War goes on. There's more poison where you're making the other person wrong and you're replaying the fight in your head and you want to yell at them more and all that kind of thing. Or if you're the type that shuts people out, then you're getting clearer and clearer. You don't ever want to talk to them again unless they apologize, right? So recognize that a Cold War exists after the conflict has erupted. You're no longer together, you're no longer talking about it, but you're both furiously thinking about how wrong the other person is. The Cold War creates a lot of relationship damage. The longer it goes on, the more damage it creates. Your job in conflict is to stop the Cold War. And you do that in a particular way that can turn the conflict into connection. So right now the conflict has happened and you're both hot from it. You want to take that and turn it back into connection rather than into more relationship damage. So what you can do, first, begin to forgive yourself and your mate. Begin to let it go. Okay, we both had crappy conduct, or we both had some bad moments, or they did, or I did. Maybe you're the one that created the conflict and whatever. Okay, just calm down, breathe, and notice with every conflict, cooling down can start to happen automatically. It might take 5 minutes, it might take an hour or so, but after a while, we all can tend to calm down some. So you want to begin to just forgive the conflict, let it go. It's just what happens sometimes. As ugly as it may have gotten, you can begin to forgive a little. Then, once you've calmed down some, and your mate has calmed down some, so you both need to, have calmed down from the eruption, you can ask this question. These 6 words will begin to turn the conflict back into connection with your mate or friend. Here are the 6 words that you can try after any conflict that will begin to turn it into connection. Sorry we fought. Are you okay? It's that simple. The conflict has happened. You're both in the Cold War, tending to make the other wrong, reliving the conflict, replaying it, and getting hot and whatever. So now you've calmed down a little. you've begun to let it go, maybe forgive yourself or the other person a little, and then just reach out to them to stop the Cold War, because you don't want them furiously replaying the incident and making you more wrong by the minute or the hour. You don't want that. It's just going to build more relationship damage. So go up to them and say, hey, sorry we fought. Are you okay? You extend the olive branch, and that lets them really let go of the Cold War of making you wrong. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they can say a little bit, or they can say, yeah, I'm sorry too. Or, oh man, it really upsets me when you do this thing or that thing. And then you can talk about it a little more calmly. But that begins connection, and it stops the Cold War, which is a key to moving past the conflict and getting stronger in your relationship, as you both realize you can deal with conflict and you can deal with its aftermath in healthy ways. Now, look, there is much more to conflict resolution. It's a whole thing. It's a suite of emotional and relationship intelligence skills that you can learn. But just these three things, you have learned great stuff that you can use to deal with conflict and turn it into connection in the future. So first, practice de-escalating. Breathe some, step back some, lower your tone of voice. Then practice letting go and forgiving. People have bad moments. So, you can let that go. You have bad moments where you're just filled with rage or anger or hatefulness, and you say things and do things that you normally wouldn't. Forgive them some. Forgive yourself some. Use these 6 conflict into connection words. Sorry we fought. Are you okay? You're not blaming them. You're not accepting blame yourself. You're just telling the truth. Hey, I am sorry that we fought. Now, are you okay? And that opens the door to connecting again after conflict. You're going to get lots of practice with them, and you're off to a great start. Thanks. I'm rooting for you.